Hi everyone, my name is Owen Megabinawa and welcome to HYVA, which stands for Hire Your Virtual Assistant. And today I have Steven Sessions from InvincibleShoe.com. You see, one of the things I'm trying to do on this blog is, show people, other entrepreneurs who are, actually running their business, virtually online, and have them come on the show and, share with us how exactly they do that. And so today I have Steven, who's been so kind to come on the show. And so go ahead, Steven, introduce yourself to my community.
Hello, community.
I've never heard anyone say that, but that's nice. So tell us some more background as to how, you got, what exactly is the InvisibleShoe.com, and then, how
Certainly.
you got started with that. Let's get some background.
Certainly. So there's a very rapidly expanding niche in the footwear industry that's referred to as natural movement or barefoot running. There are a number of other ways that it's spoken of. And about a year and a half ago, I got into barefoot running. I'm a 48-year-old competitive sprinter. I'd had a lot of little injuries when I took up running again about maybe 3.5 years ago, and I'd heard that barefoot running might be a solution for some of my problems. So I gave it a shot, and in fact, it did. Taking off my shoes did what all the research is saying that it does, namely puts less force on your body, makes you naturally realign your stride into a more natural and efficient set of positions, and basically it made my running injuries go away because I stopped doing stupid things that were hurting me. So, geek that I am, I started exploring, and many people have read a book called Born to Run. It's now been on the bestseller list for 2 years. It's sold out 500,000 copies. It's about the tribe in Mexico called the Tarahumara, who are famous for running barefoot or in sandals that are made out of strips of rubber from car tires that they then strap to their foot with some lace or some leather or whatever they can find, basically. And these guys are world-class runners who can run for hundreds of miles, either barefoot or in these sandals they call huaraches. So I thought that sounded like a really neat product idea, and I made a pair for myself and a few other people, and they liked it. And then the local barefoot running community here in Boulder, Colorado, where I am, a bunch of people said, hey, I want some of those. So I made about 20 more pairs. And then the coach of the club said, you should treat this like a real business instead of a hobby. And I said, yeah, I don't think so. I got a lot of other things going on, and there's probably no money in it, and it's not worth it. And he says, well, I have a book coming out, and if you had a website, I'd put you in the book. So I went, that's interesting. And I came home and pitched this idea to my wife, who instantly shot it down. And she said, no, we're really busy. We've got other things going on. There's probably no money in it. And I said to her, you're absolutely right. And so I waited until she went to bed, and then I built a website.
Yeah. You apologize afterwards.
Exactly. So 2 weeks later, I launched the site, and within it started making sales immediately, and within 3 months, it was our full-time business. It totally took off. And within 6 months, we were working with advisors who formerly helped build Reebok from under $1 million to over $1 billion, and now we're expanding dramatically, launching into retail and doing a lot of things. And
Skype, and we're back in. So you were saying how, 6 months into it, you got in the advices and all that, and just continue from there.
Oh gosh. Well, we've now been in business. It's March, so it's been about 16 months, and we're doing a big expansion into retail. We've got a whole bunch of people who are working with us and for us now, and more coming along. And we're just trying to grow this into a real company.
Definitely, and like we promised the audience initially, was that this is going to be focused on how exactly you run your business.
Right.
Virtually, how what systems you have in place, what processes, and all that. So let's dive into that. How is that?
Oh my! When you put it that way, the first thing I'm going to do is shake my head, because I've been basically selling online before there was an internet. I started a software company 20 years ago. I was doing some other things online even before that. And the thing that's most distressing is that all of the pieces of the puzzle that you need to run an online company still don't play well together. They still don't fit well together. There's still not one central application that you can use to manage every aspect of the process of running a business, which includes both the customer side, taking order, fulfilling orders, dealing with help desk and customer service issues, including live chat in that, handling email management so that you can communicate with people most effectively without sending them more email that they want while still being able to separate out parts of your list and mail to them for certain things. And then on the business side of managing your vendors and contacts, and then handling, we have a physical product, so handling shipping and managing the shipping as well. Now, it's possible to do all of that, but there's no one who's done that for small businesses. All the large businesses I've spoken with, they've ended up writing their own. So what I've been doing is putting together a lot of pieces. Now, I'll go over everything I just said slightly more slowly and a little bit in more detail. Since we're selling something online, there's a couple of components to that, obviously. One is having our website, which we built on the WordPress blogging platform for a lot of reasons. It's simple to use. It's very powerful because it's open source. There's a lot of people who are working on building tools for it that are very effective for search engine optimization and for displaying data, things like that. So we built it on WordPress, and then we have our shopping cart to take orders. Now there's the first glitch, is finding a good shopping cart that will do what you need, that will integrate with WordPress. And ultimately, we're using a cart that doesn't play well with WordPress. And what I mean by that is you'd like it so that if someone logs into your website to post a comment or to upload a file, they don't have to log in somewhere else to place their order and view their order or view their order history. That's one aspect of it. So we're using a shopping cart. I was using a cart called Ecwid, ECWID. Very easy to attach to your site. You set up a bunch of things on their server. They say it takes 5 minutes to get up and running. Complete nonsense. It takes hours to fill in all the pieces that you need. But once you've filled in everything on their side, to add it to your site takes 10 seconds. Now, the problem with that is that when you have a third-party shopping cart, if there are a lot of people who are in situations where if they come to your website and the shopping cart is loading from someone else's server, they view that as a security risk and they won't show the other website. In other words, they won't show your shopping cart. So after getting a lot of those problems, we needed to have our own shopping cart. So we ended up getting one called Interspire, which I've discovered all shopping cart software has certain problems, certain things where they made decisions that work better or less well than other decisions in other carts. There's no perfect solution is what I'm getting at, which means you're going to have to bring in someone to fix it and tweak it and make it do what you need to do. Let me say something about growing a company virtually. One of the advantages that I have, because we now have a lot of customers and we're very active and very visible on the forums and the blogs and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, is people come to me and they tell me that they're excited by what I'm doing and they offer to work for me. And I've learned that the easiest, what do I want to call it, the easiest bar that I can put up to see if they clear it is telling them what I'm doing, telling them what I need, and then just letting them go and ignoring them. And it's not that I'm deliberately ignoring them. Frankly, it's just that I'm too busy to pay attention. But I've learned that if they don't come back to me, if they don't come knocking down my door, basically proving that they not only want to work for me, but they have the skills and the interest and the passion for doing it, I'm not interested. If someone comes, if they pound down my door 5 times and show me what they can do before I ask them to do anything, I don't even care if I know what I'm going to hire them for. I'll hire them, because that kind of enthusiasm goes a really long way. So I have a programmer who's now working for me who I see him, I've only seen him live twice because he happens to live nearby, but everything we do is totally online via email or the phone or Skype. And he's doing all the little changes to the shopping cart and to WordPress and to all of our technical stuff that we really need. Hugely, hugely important and worth every penny. So that's one aspect. Similarly, the customer service requirements were getting to be very large. Not that we have many customer service issues. We've only had one return out of 5,000 orders, but we do have Yeah, it's great. But we do have people who ask a lot of questions, even though they're already on the website in dozens of places. They'll email with questions, or they want to check on their order and they don't know how to do that. And so just those little things became an issue. And it just so happened that I saw a posting from someone who was a well-known runner who had a lot of experience with barefoot running and also a lot of experience with companies that do marketing in the sports environment. And she said she was looking for a job. And I said, congratulations, you're hired. So similarly, she's working virtually. And here's an interesting thing for a virtual business. We have a hosted PBX phone system. And so what that means, a PBX phone system, for people who don't know, it's the thing where you would call up and get a company, and it's got a dial by name directory and voicemail stuff, so press 1 for sales and 2 for orders, or whatever it is. Usually
it's routed to the numbers you make that you designate to it, basically extensions.
Yeah, so normally that used to be something you would have to, in fact, my previous business, my software company, we had this big box that was sitting in a closet, and that was our PBX phone system. So now you can get that all as services online, and what makes this system work, it's an internet-based PBX phone system, so all you need is the phone and an internet connection, and it's all those same functions. So I gave her one of the phones, and now she works out of her home and handles all of our customer service issues, and does a lot of our social networking and social media work as well. And she's doing some PR for us. So that's all someone off there. And again, we meet via Skype and email and all those things. Actually, we use Google Apps quite a bit. So the Google Apps is a a semi-integrated suite.
Sorry about that. I should have turned off on my website. People can call me live from my website. I should have turned that off.
No, hey, that's an important feature, because that's actually something that we're going to be adding soon. Because one of the things I can say about running a virtual company is that the whole thing you need to do is build trust in the people who are coming to your website, to make them feel confident and comfortable that you're a real company, that that they can give you their credit card information and it's not going to get used somewhere else. And things like that live chat and live call, very, very helpful.
And now I feel bad for turning off their because I can't stop the interview, but go ahead. Sorry for the interruption.
Well, look, even just having it there is helpful, and you can put in messages that say you're on another call right now, you get back to them soon, leave a message. Even that works. As long as you respond, that's the most important thing. So Google has a number of apps that sometimes play well together and sometimes don't. So just Gmail, Google Mail, is a very interesting thing when you use it for business, because we can set up a mailbox that all of us in the company use for monitoring customer service. Anybody can go in and answer any of those emails, and if I answer it, it's tagged that I'm the one who answered it. If my wife answers the email, it's tagged that she was the one who answered the email. If our customer service rep does it, it's tagged that she did it. So it's very helpful for all of us being able to see what's going on, who's doing what, making sure nothing falls through the cracks. Similarly, you can set up with Google Documents so that we can share documents very easily, and I have my calendar shared so everybody can see what I'm doing, so they can schedule things for me and not have to call me and ask if I'm available. And so that's very helpful for running a virtual office, is using something like that. There are other things other than Gmail and Google to do it. Zoho, Z-O-H-O, they have Zoho.com, sorry. They have a number of tools that are very similar. In fact, they're competing with the Google Apps, and I've looked into using some of those as well. Now, again, that said, some of these things are really stupid. Like with Google Calendar, if you want to schedule a calendar event with someone who's in your Google Contacts list, there's no connection between the two. You can't just go to the contact and say, I want to schedule something with Bob Smith and have it show up on your calendar, and conversely, you can't schedule something on your calendar with Bob Smith and have it link to Bob's email and phone number. Giant oversight, makes me crazy. This is the bottom line.
About Google is they always upgrading and making things better. So eventually they will get to that point too.
Well, I got to tell you, my experience is the exact opposite. My experience is they take everything to 75%, and then they don't do anything with it after that. So, I mean, there's features that people have been complaining about with Google Apps for 3 years, and they're very basic fundamental features. And this is really the issue with not only with a virtual company, but with any company that's dealing with technology and the internet, and that is the odds of finding a solution that doesn't frustrate you is very small. there's whatever you find to do the different things you need to do is going to have problems or issues or missing features or clumsy interfaces or something that will make you want to put your fist through the wall on a daily basis. That's just the way it is. And the more you get comfortable with that, or the more you get good at finding a way of decompressing after you've just lost a bunch of data because of some stupid interface problem or whatever, the happier you'll be.
So I guess the takeaway from that is really, because you're virtual and you're making use of a lot of tools that are integrating together, be aware and have the mindset that, hey, it's not going to be 100% all going to work together. So for the mere fact you have that mindset, it's now, okay, how can you go above and beyond and figure, okay, how can you do whatever tweaks that you need to fill in the missing gaps and be ready for any bad thing that can happen, maybe data loss and all that. So prepare in advance.
And be prepared to waste money, too. Be prepared to spend a lot of time and money setting something up and then finding out that it doesn't do what you thought or what they promised you, or that you'll 6 months later find that you have some needs that are better served by some other product and you have to start all over again. I mean, we just spent a lot of money on our new shopping cart, and there's a very realistic possibility that I'm going to have to switch to a new one within 3 months.
And this is a good segue, because, I mean, they should be prepared to spend money, but how can they avoid spending money? So are there any takeaways or things that you know in regards to being able to avoid that whole need to spend money? I mean, do you understand the question I'm talking about?
Well, there's two parts to your question, I think. One is that there are a lot of free tools out there that if you're really, really strapped, you can use. Keep in mind that almost always for anything that you're going to use that's free, there are a couple of sacrifices. One is that you won't get the kind of service you need if you have a problem. Mm-hmm. One is that you might not get the full feature set that you hope to get. One is that you are going to have to spend a bunch of time to make it work, since you're not spending money to give to someone else who's going to make it work. Or there's some inconveniences where some of those freebies are advertising supported and things like that. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is just the question of how do you avoid wasting money on things that you buy. And if I could come up with an answer for that, I'd be a bajillionaire.
But okay, the thing now is, when people think about running business virtually, they always think about, oh, you have a virtual product, right? But in your own case, is unique, is that you have a physical product.
Yeah, so, and we're making it even more virtual.
Yeah. So I want to dive into that. I mean, I'm sure you probably had that same whole thing. I mean, people might expect that they should go to a shop and see our office open, where they come into a shop and buy a product. But now you're trying to really virtualize it. What challenges did you go through with that whole process of maybe trying to turn your physical product into something they can receive virtually? And tell the audience how you did that.
Well, I didn't really have a choice. What I was selling is basically the mankind's oldest footwear, but an updated version of that. So we're selling shoes. We're selling not running sandals. We're selling barefoot style sandals. They're the closest thing to barefoot while giving you protection. We call them Barefoot Plus. So it's barefoot plus protection, plus a little bit of style, plus some fun, plus the ability to make them yourself if you want. So it's a physical product, and there's no way around that. What we do, though, is there's still a lot of virtual components to that. So one is simply all the automation, from taking the orders to dealing with printing invoices and shipping labels and packing slips and putting all that together and getting it out the door in a way that's requires as little human work as possible. And that's an ongoing process. We're now starting to experiment with a website and a product called ShipWorks that integrates with our shopping cart, so that after an order gets placed, at some point during the day, you hit one button, the invoices are all printed, the packing slips are all printed, the picking labels are all printed, the shipping labels are all printed, and all we do is put it all together and get it out the door. Eventually, that'll be automated too, so there's no human being who touches anything. It'll be just all robots essentially that are doing that. In a related note, one of our products is a custom-made product, so it's made to fit your foot, and we make it for you. And we're going to be doing that in an automated fashion as well, where you'll stand on a scanning device for it to measure your foot, and then it'll send us that information electronically, and we process that data and then send it to a computer-controlled cutting machine that makes the product and then does all the rest, the picking, packing, and shipping and all of that. So it adds a layer of complexity in a way compared to selling a digital product or a virtual product or a service.
Yeah.
But most of that stuff, that's been figured out before. Obviously people have been selling things in the real world for a long time. Now we're just marrying the virtual world with the real world, and in a way that takes some of the work and some of the human labor out of the equation.
Definitely. And when it comes to physical product, we think about having warehouse and having to store things, having to
Right.
make things and all that. So that can be mind-boggling, for someone listening to this. But from my understanding now is you have different sections or different partners that you work with that
Yeah.
do several different things once an order comes in. If it's okay, can we talk about how that works? Because I
Absolutely.
want to give some context to this whole virtual thing in regards to a physical business.
Absolutely. Well, what many people think of when they think of virtual businesses that have to do with physical products, they think about drop shipping. They think about selling something. Essentially, they're an affiliate. They're selling something, and then they're having someone else take care of all the stuff that that I'm doing it for myself at the moment. And that's a viable model. In fact, I'm speaking with a couple of companies that's all they do is fulfillment. And at some point in the near future, I'm going to be giving all of our physical product to this fulfillment company and just sending them the file at the end of the day that says here's what to ship to whom, and they'll take care of all the rest. So that's one interesting option. What we've done that's unique in terms of reducing our warehousing and inventory is, again, that we're making custom products, a custom-made product. So we don't need to have, for shoes, if you think about it, the average shoe, it's going to come in 35 sizes and some number of styles. That's a lot to warehouse and to manage. Well, for us, we can, since we're making things on the fly, basically, we don't have to store that much inventory. We're storing way less inventory, so that's an interesting thing on our end. But the other answer to your question is we're dealing with manufacturers and producers all around the world to make all the different pieces of our product, from the rubber to the laces to the packaging to the envelopes that we mail things out in, to the little we're including a little hole punch, so you have to punch a hole for where the lace goes in the sandal. It's another company making the hole punches. So there's lots of that, and to put all that together, it can sound overwhelming, and frankly, it is. But that doesn't mean it's.
And I know that it is because as we speak
Yeah.
right now, I just gained a new client who was doing, hired us to do the research for all of that and
Right.
figure out how to get missing pieces of the different parts to the equation for his company. So, and that's one of the reasons why I'm excited to talk to you about it. So maybe I can take some ideas from here and help him out.
Well, it's kind of funny. There are a few obvious online resources. If you know what you're looking for, you just start searching and you see if you can find someone who's manufacturing it. If you don't know what you're looking for, you can go to something like Alibaba.com and just kind of put out the word that you're looking for something kind of like this and see who responds. That's how I started with the Hole Punch project. Was I got on Alibaba, and for people who don't know, that's mostly Asian companies that do Asian manufacturing, and you say, here's what I'm looking for, and they'll respond. And we spent a few $100s having some samples made and tested, and we were getting close. We found something that we liked. It was a little more expensive than I thought it needed to be, so I was possibly going to talk to some other people. But I'll tell you, the biggest thing beyond searching for the specific thing you're looking for to see if there's someone making it or finding someone who can make this specific thing is just talking to everyone you know. It's just your own connections and the connections of people that you know, because the joke is, 2 weeks ago, I was at a barefoot running event, and it was being hosted by a guy in his new office, and I started talking to him about what we were doing, and he says, do you know what I do for a living? I said, no. He goes, I develop products for a living, and I'm going to China in 2 weeks. All those things that you need, I can make. So, in fact, I'm meeting with him as soon as we get off this call. But to think that that's unusual is missing the point. Most of what's happened for me in this business has happened because I've spoken to someone or bumped into someone or accidentally met someone who happened to know someone or happened to be in the business or happened to be related. That stuff, that's what makes so much of it work.
So basically, in that sense, it's really, a lot of people they have this new idea, they want to start something, they think, okay, let me guard this idea, let me keep it to myself. But what you're saying by that is, go out there, tell everybody as much as possible
Absolutely.
what you're trying to do, and it might just lead to you connecting the pieces together.
Yeah, there was a great animated cartoon that was online. It was one of those things where I can't remember what it's called. It's a website where you just put in the script and it has these little animated computer generated things acted out. And it was one of the characters was saying, I've got this idea that's going to be bigger than Google, and the other character says, oh, tell me what it is. And the character says, oh, you have to sign my non-disclosure. And the other one says, you actually think that I'm going to drop everything that I'm doing and spend all of my time and money to work on your stupid idea and steal it from you? And the person says, yes. And, it just isn't going to happen. You think about it. You're too busy to steal someone else's idea, most likely. They're too busy to take yours. And besides, ideas are a dime a dozen. That's not what makes something successful. It's making it and getting it out there. That's the part that takes all the work. And someone else is not going to come and just take your idea and run with it, especially if they're not. I mean, hell, I've gone in and spoken to my direct competitors to get their advice about the business, and every one of them, the first thing they've said to me when I've walked in and they've looked at my product, they go, well, we're not going to do that. and they're not lying. So it's not the same. Now, that said, once we become more successful, I fully expect that people are going to start ripping us off. We can only hope that we've just established ourselves well enough that that we can combat that. But the kind of stealing that people worry about is not the kind of stealing that happens, and the kind of stealing that does happen, you don't need to worry about it now. And by the time you do, you'll have enough money that you're not going to care.
And I guess another way of looking at it too is, well, you're not the only one doing what you're trying to do. Everybody
right.
has this, there's a lot more people out there trying to, have the same idea and trying to implement it. But it's really how you go about doing it. Is there a community around what you're doing?
Exactly.
For instance, like the people at Threadless, I don't know if you heard of
well, they're right down the street from me, and I've met with their CEO a number of times.
Great. Maybe I need to get an introduction from we can talk about that after this call. But, it's really about community, so the way you do things is definitely going to be different from the other people. So your community is always going to be there, and they will help to spread the word on that.
Absolutely.
And before we end this interview, we talk about the different tools we can use virtually to run the business. We've also talked about how to even start the research to find the right people, the right partners for your entire goal. But now, so let's assume we found the partners, the warehouse, the fulfillment company, the manufacturers, and all that. The integration of all those different partners and what they do for you to make things work. What challenges did you come across when you're doing yours, and how can the audience learn from that?
The way I want to answer that is by addressing a larger point, and that is, it's not uncommon when we're going into a business, especially if we haven't really started it, that we think we need to feel competent, confident, that we need to know everything in advance, that we need to have all our ducks in a row and our things in order, and that's just a complete lie. There's no one who's ever started any business who didn't feel like they were in over their head, completely faking it, that it was going to fall apart the next day, that it's just, that's not the way it works. It's a learn while you earn process, and there's no way around that. The only way you come up with any of these answers is by suddenly being faced with the problem and having to figure it out. And even if you've tried to do it all in advance, you're going to run into a large number of things that you never in a million years would have expected. I had a conversation with two of our advisors the other day where I was complaining that one of the problems that I'm having in dealing with the Asian manufacturing companies is I'll send them a picture of what I want or an image of what I want. They'll respond with something back that indicates they totally understand what I need, and then they'll make something completely different. And they said, yeah, that's what we've been experiencing for the last 35 years. I said, how come you didn't tell me that it's like this? They said, because you wouldn't have believed us anyway. So similarly, they told a story when they were at Reebok. They had a complete design team in Boston and another complete design team, same people, same skills, in China. And the CEO of Reebok said, why am I paying twice for this? And they said, because if we don't have somebody over there that we can speak with, who knows what we need, who's watching the company do what we want, it's not going to be done right. And
would you say that would be a cultural thing in terms of them, the other people who are down in the other country, being able to explain it in a way they will understand it based on the fact that it's a cultural difference?
Oh boy, that's a big question. I would say that it's a cultural thing. I have a friend who was trying to help manage the Beijing Jeep factory 21 years ago, and I went over to visit him, and I said, in fact, I'd only been in China for 45 minutes from the amount of time it took to get from the airport to his apartment, and I said, I bet that your report is saying that there's no real history of quality control. There's a lot of history of trying to take shortcuts and find the easiest way of doing things. There's no real competition among the workers to do a better job, and no one can afford the product that they're building anyway, so they really don't care. So this is going to be very difficult. He says, yeah, how did you figure that out? I said, because I realized that the guy who's standing in front of your apartment building getting paid to watch the electric gate open and close is getting paid the same amount of money as the people working in the factory. And so some of it really, I do think, is cultural, and some of it is, and I'm not trying to, when I say it's cultural, I don't mean that they have, that the Asian cultures are in any way inferior. It's just the way, the way that we think about how to get things done is completely different. And until we can really appreciate that, our expectations are going to be unrealistic, and we're going to be setting ourselves up for again, more frustration. Once you know how it works, it's just the way it is, and you either, you just deal with it.
Definitely. And before I let you go, I always try and ask, every guest, we're all busy entrepreneurs, you're busy, I'm busy, but we're taking time to do this. Why? Why did you even find, feel the need to get on the show to even share all this stuff?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. One is the not surprising one, that any opportunity you have to talk about what you're doing is more publicity and more information that you can get out that could help in many ways. And the other is, especially when you're running a virtual company, you don't have people to hang out and talk with, in your house. I mean, I do because my business partner is my wife, and I'm thrilled because we work together really well. But we have the same conversation every night. So to be able to have a virtual water cooler is just as important as having a virtual office.
Definitely. Maybe there's another interview I have to bring you on how to get the wife to be the partner in the business. I'm still working on that.
It's really easy. It's really easy. Marry the right woman.
I know I did. I'm just trying to get her to the point where she's as excited and as passionate as I am.
Oh yeah, and give that up. Give that up.
Oh, okay.
Your job is to be excited and passionate. Her job is to do what she's doing.
Definitely, definitely. I really appreciate you taking all this time to share with us all this good stuff. And how best can the community members get a hold of you?
It's really simple. First, you can go to the website, www.invisibleshoe.com, and if you want to drop me a line, my email is Steven, S-T-E-V-E-N, @invisibleshoe.com, and happy to chat.
Thank you very much for doing the interview.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we're done.
Awesome.
So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I really want to know what exactly you think. I mean, if I suck, and if I'm not doing a good job, I want to know, because by your input and your comments, your suggestion, your feedback, that's how I'm going to improve on the entire package of what I'm sharing with you. I really want to improve so that you know that your time is well spent when you watch my videos. And if I do good on interviews, and if you like certain things I do, please let me know so I can even improve upon that as well. And I want to thank you really, because your time is well spent, and I mean, your time is important to me, and I want to make sure that I continuously put this information in front of you. So I want you to join my community, and in order to do that, you need to click on the link that says get the free ebook, enter in your name and email, and you will receive as a gift from me my free ebook titled The Entrepreneur's Guide to Running a Business in the Cloud. The reason I do that is because I want to share with you that information. You can check it out and make use of it in your business. In the same vein, I will be sending you email updates every time I have new blog posts, as well as if I have new stuff that is not even on the blog, I want to share with you. That way we can stay in contact. One more thing. Before you go, I want to also let you know that if you are really serious about finding, hiring, training, and even working with virtual assistant, if right now you want to get that started, why don't you sign up for my free webinar where I share everything about the entire process. And you can get to do that by clicking on the link on the very top of my blog where it says sign up for the free webinar. Again, thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see you next time.